Benedict Cumberbatch has recently made a comment that's managed to upset some of the Spider-Man fan base because, he made a comment about doubting the film. And now people are acting like they always knew it was going to be the greatest thing ever, even though if you look back at their history, they weren't saying that same thing. So of course, with the lead up to Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, we have Benedict Cumberbatch talking about Doctor Strange in general and his time working on Spider-Man No Way Home. And he says it's one of these things where he had a lot of doubts when they approached everybody with Spider-Man No Way Home. And he says that when Kevin Feige sat down with him to talk to him about what they were doing, what the idea was, what direction they were going in, all the characters showing up, he said he had doubts in regards to everything that was laid out in front of him because he just didn't know how this would work because it's such a huge departure from what they were doing. Now, obviously, let's be very clear about this. Pretty much everybody had the same thing. The moment we found out that multiple villains were returning, not the heroes yet, just the villains originally, everybody was already saying and making the, think pieces and everything. The film is overstuffed. The film is going to fail Spider-Man because it's going to be about the villains. The film is going to be member berries. Then we found out and start to hear rumors about things happening like the Spider-Man returning. And then people were saying that even more. Naturally, he would have been worried. Remember, everybody was worried about the Avengers. Marvel Studios shopped the Avengers and that whole idea with Phase 1 to every single studio, and nobody would back it. They had to go and independently finance the entire first phase, ending with the Avengers, because everybody said it was stupid, it was risky, and that it wouldn't work, and they were all worried about sinking money into a sinking ship. That's what he's saying here. You never know if something will work. And again, he's right. I don't see why people were upset at him. And now people are acting like everybody always thought that this film was going to be a surefire success, that it was of course going to make over $1 billion. Except you go back and look at some of these people and what they were saying, when the first leak happened, then the second leak, and then the cast members were confirmed from the previous films. They're all saying the same thing. So I don't like how revisionist history is being used to reflect on something that he's saying where everybody, just about everybody, had that same feeling. Like 2 weeks before the film came out, we were all still saying, this film could be terrible. We don't know. It could just be overstuffed with cameos and have terrible character development and payoff, and we're all just left hanging there because of the legal battle that Disney and Sony were having with one another over Spider-Man. That legit could have happened. So let's not act like revisionist history is somehow now forgotten or something that we're not going to look back on, because literally everybody has been worried or was worried about Spider-Man, and they're still worried now about Doctor Strange for the same thing. So I don't see him as saying this as some sort of insult to the film. Despite how great it is, at one time, we all believed that it could suffer because it seemed way overstuffed and like they wouldn't be able to handle it. You know how we know that? Because Sony was on hand for Spider-Man 3 and The Amazing Spider-Man 2, and they did the same exact thing with far less. So it took very talented directors and people at Marvel Studios to work out a script that worked. That was the difference, but we all still were unsure.